States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The meeting is called to order. We are being videotaped and streamed live on Facebook, just FYI. We need to approve the minutes first. Pete, would you mind doing that?
Sure. Approval of minutes. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of the Board of Education, hereby accepts the minutes of the April 18, 2018 regular meeting as submitted.
Second.
Thanks, Mike. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I beg your pardon? Oh,
Yes.
doing the budget hearing first.
Well, it's listed. We have
This is
to.
technically not part of the meeting. That meeting starts with the approval of the minutes.
Sorry, I just noticed it like 2 seconds ago.
Okay.
Well, we'll segue right in because we're going to go through. Sorry, a little procedural issue, but we'll do the budget hearing and then the superintendent's report, Mr. Brasco.
Okay. John Nicolo, please.
Then we have to, did we adjourn?
He was adjourned.
Stop with the lead kids. Stop with the lead kids.
You can.
Oh, yeah, they're coming. We have them on ourselves now.
Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion. Ken, I'm gonna have to jump up to the budget part and do my part later, okay? I'd like to thank our assistant principals for joining us this evening, Mr. Heil, Slavianka, Elizabeth Pine. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, quiz tomorrow morning, 2 a.m. Okay, this is the budget hearing. This has been 5 months. And Brad, we did notice you were absent last time, so.
All right.
But anyway,
You only get one.
We broke.
Oh, this is Monica's tonight.
yeah, right.
I give her the notes.
So,
Where is she, anyway?
Her husband teaches on Tuesday night. Believe me, we're talking on Facebook right now. Hi, Monica, we're talking about
Okay.
thanks for coming, Brad. So here we are, our budget hearing, and next week, of course, is the vote. This is basically a review, much of a review of April's presentation. So our current budget, $60,203,745 compared to last year, which is $59,272,525. Thanks, Bob. And allowed by the state, we have a tax levy increase, which was determined by the state's formula at 1.95, which isn't too bad because it's almost 2% for change. Now, I want to thank Lynn for this. Quick slide out to Newsday. It shows that we budget well. As Lynn said when we discussed it, it gets us more bang for the buck the way we budget. And if you look at it, we do pretty well with our amount of students. If you compare to districts of similar size and similar needs, Mount Sinai does pretty good with their budgeting. We'll be going into the future about our meeting with the auditors from New York State, which was an entertaining meeting, but I'll summarize it in basically a paragraph. And it's written that we budget very conservatively. And we respond, well, I wonder why when you never know what you're going to get in state aid, right? You're not going to budget conservatively. But that was a lot of the discussion. So looking at this, and I thank Lynn for sending it, we do pretty well. I talked to some of my friends in other districts, and we do get a lot of bang for our buck. We have a lot of successful programs, and if you look at our budget compared to a number of the others, a lot of numbers, we do pretty well with this.
Also,
Want to back up?
Go back.
Okay.
Many of those schools who have larger budgets or a lower average cost per student, you have to look at this in terms of what their foundation aid is. Foundation aid does not help our district at all. We don't fit within the definition very well in that.
David's
We also
poverty
have
district.
we have a lower, it sounds strange, but we have a lower wealth score because of a higher wealth index in our community than some of the other schools, and that defines some of their aid overall. So it's really, when you look at our number of cost per student, that's directly billed to the household. We're not getting a lot of aid and certainly not a lot of foundation.
And we're talking today also, I receive my emails, tons of offers for grants. I constantly go to my directors, are we eligible? No, you're not poverty level. Everything they send, because of our wealth level, we're not eligible for grants that other districts enjoy.
Can you flip back quickly?
Back, Brett?
Yeah, so I can take a picture of that.
I'm gonna send you a copy of Newsday. I'm looking. That's one. Is that a spy camera?
Oh,
Okay, this is a review. If you're here in April, I'm sorry, but a lot of it, we have to review it for the budget. And I'll be talking about basically the main driver or the detail that affects the category the most. So the first, on Board of Ed and Central Administration, that decrease was driven by less legal expenses this year. We've enjoyed less hearings, less use of our attorney, and that's a good thing. Central Services, however, with a district-wide insurance or district-wide liability, maintenance grounds and such, with increased student accidents and incidents, that liability rate goes up. And we also, in that category, is the additional guards we added after February. Again, first they're unarmed, they're armed now, and that's the increase in that second category. Curriculum instruction supervision, that increase is due to professional development and materials for the new reading program that will be coming in next year. Pupil personnel, which is special education, you'll see that decrease. However, I constantly warn one student moving in the district with high needs, and that can blow that up. We have had students moving in or moving back to this district from other areas that cost us $100,000 to $150,000 for that student. Pupil activities, where that's written, that's a number of things. The co-curricular STEM program, which we share with Fort Jeff to go to the campus of Stony Brook, where our kids meet with college professors to learn STEM. That cost, it is my time to visit Senator Laval. I asked Paul Cassiano from Fort Jeff to share that visit with me. He had to turn it down because his relationship is at risk right now due to the bond in Pennsylvania, in Fort Jeff, which Senator Laval and the mayor were against, so they didn't have much of a chance to pass, and it didn't. And they had to exchange words. I'll be traveling alone unless some of my board members want to come along.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so, and along with that category of pupil activities, not just the Stony Brook program, the athletic trainer is now in this category, removed from salaries, correct?
Correct.
Linda? So it looks like a jump, but it's just another category, place for the trainer. Pupil transportation, we tell you every year, we plan on a 2% increase. The actual expense, transportation has its own CPI, which we should get around May 15th, correct? And then the census, adult ed and driver's ed, we used to work with BOCES on the census. We dropped that support, we do it on our own now. That saves some money. And adult ed and driver's ed are self-sustaining. Employee benefits, that's kind of out of our control. The largest one, of course, benefit is health insurance, and we plan on 10% increase, and you can see that there. Debt service, our loans and leases are expiring, and as you know, just with your household things, as the loan goes on, your interest goes down when they get near payment. and we totally paid off in a few years. The summer school, special ed, according to students' IEP, they have to be educated over the summer, so they don't regress from where they are when the school year ends. And then salaries is an increase next year of 1%. So what does all this mean? The difference is the budget at $60,203,745 is an increase over last year of $931,220, or a 1.57 increase over last year. And this is what everybody is probably waiting for. Let's look at, again, the numbers. A lot of them I just told you what the budget was, the appropriated fund balance, our total revenues, what the tax levies bring in at $40,117,000. All of this, and then what it comes down to for the average home assessment, and I always joke with Linda about that. Do we have any average homes in Mount Sinai? And she said, no. She said, yes, we do, with that assessment, and some are less for various reasons. So that made me feel a little better. But what that means is basically a $15 per month increase. Now, this is in my superintendent's address. We're doing things backwards right now, but this is extremely important. Meeting an exec, we're discussing that there's a lot of confusion in the neighborhood over this, so we can't repeat this enough, we can't say it enough, what this is. At the beginning, all three of you saw a picture of an athletic field, okay? That's what what our current one and only turf field will look like once this is taking place, okay? One field, the current field that's now 15 years old. I don't think you'll find another turf field on Long Island that is 15 years old. Why? Because of the condition. First of all, it's one of the originals. They make better fields today. And we worry about the impact rating when a child, an athlete, hits that turf. And I have to tell you, you walk on that field and you see scenes and how flat and hard that is, you get a little scared. Watching, having the privilege to see our girls lacrosse last Friday, followed by our boys lacrosse, I do cringe when they go down and hit it. I do cringe because that is some shot. They take the shot from the player, the impact from hitting that turf is the second thing. And we have, as I told you before, our liabilities up because we have a lot more sports injuries. And I don't think you could rule out the condition of that field as a factor in some of that. But it really needs replacing. So, and you tell anybody in any district, how old is your field? 15 years. Are you kidding me? And they'll say 10 to 12 max. So what can happen this year? That field can be condemned. And we have, look at every season of every sport and how well they perform here. And that's just an injustice to our athletes and our teams. Not to mention the safety factor. So the one field, the turf field, will be replaced. The track around it is crumbling. It makes sense to do both at the same time. It itself is not safe. Now, if you look at the field, you'll see that with our field events around the back sides of the track that are filled with weeds and gravel, and it's a terrible appearance and doesn't need to be there. They're better relocated outside. And when I get back to that picture, I'll show that to you. Again, why do things in piecemeal? Our bleachers are 25 years old. Is the press box not the same year, 25? 25? Okay.
What pay for that press box? It's actually,
Not as old?
it's got to be 17, yeah.
How old?
I believe it's like 17.
17.
About 17.
It just looks good because it's vinyl siding.
Correct.
It's a little shaky.
It's a miracle
And
it's
they're
still
not
standing.
ADA compliant, right?
Right, and as Lynn just reminded me, our bleachers are not ADA compliant
Right.
either. So the plan is, and I'll mention in more detail when I get to the picture, but the bleachers are going to be new bleachers. We played with and brainstormed many scenarios with our architect a few weeks ago and said, can we use the existing bleachers and add new ones? He said the bracing is different, the color is different, it would not look good. So we're getting all new with a bigger seating capacity. Now, the other thing is nets in the turf. If you visit other schools, you'll see that around the field are high nets, so you can use the track. You got them to say this, Steve? That you can use the track and do track events while people are performing on the field. Makes sense. Pete?
We're just going back to the bleachers, that'll also help us in greater capacity for graduation, because graduation is a very popular day.
Yep.
People down low are usually fighting each other, so if we get more people in the stands.
Great point.
Much, much better.
Yeah, the people are down below along the fence go,
Because they can't see,
go out
it's always a
forever.
problem.
That's why they get here at 2 a.m. in the morning for graduation. And then there are sidewalks. You'll see the paving around the field will be different. There are sidewalks going to those events that were once on the track, into those areas. We're trying to make that area, that bottleneck, when you turn and you go in towards the high school, where the field is on your left, where parents will stop and talk, where parents will drop off and stay. And that's a pretty dangerous place, and people walk there. So we're trying to undo that safety hazard and create a concrete plaza with a fence. Okay? And here's the new edge, just like I mentioned before, in that other category, the security that we have now, is we know the need for security perimeter fencing. I have some pictures I'll share with you. And the thing is, we do feel safe with our new guards. But anyone who did an assessment, the FBI community member who was nice enough to spend time with me and walk around, he said, even before guards, the perimeter must be safe for the campus. So the board realizes that, and we just met and discussed the fencing. And the fencing, you'll hear more about it, but we're least concerned with the attractiveness of 25A versus the environment and what it looks like, the picturesque side on North Country Road. So it's visually appealing, and we don't change the look of it. So that's going to be a reality. So what does all that come to? Do you remember when, Brad, I'll give you a quiz. It's $5 million now. What was it before? Remember when we first put this up? Capital project?
It was like in the fours, I think.
Yes, 42. Okay? Now, you take the fencing off, where are we? 42. Okay, but we realized we had that need, and it has to happen, like we always with guards.
This is money we already have.
Yes, now here is,
Besides that,
those at home, this is very important.
no taxes.
This is money you have paid, it's in the bank account, savings, not costing you anything more to fix the high school roof. I wish I had thought of it earlier. I would bring in pictures of the art rooms underwater and other areas, pupil, special ed areas, guides underwater. It's not good. So high school roof, you saw that we're discussing the fields and how to brand new turf field, safety, security, perimeter fencing, safety. It's in the bank. Will not cost you a dime. It's Proposition 3. Proposition 1 is the budget at $60 million. Proposition 2 is the library, which they determine that number. You vote on that every year, those 1 and 2. But 3 is the capital project that will not cost you a penny, any of that. And Proposition 4 we'll discuss more as we get into the capital reserve fund. Yeah.
One comment over here that by doing it this way, it is aidable that we will eventually get some money back from state aid.
Right. Hateable. Mike, is that your comment?
No, I was going to piggyback off of what Pete said for the few in the room. That, maybe we get 1,500 voters show up, trying to get the message out. Like Pete said and Gordon said, this is Proposition 3. It's $5 million, but it's $5 million that we, as a district, already have in our fund balance, some might say savings account. It's already the community's money, it's there. We're just transferring it from the fund balance to this capital project to get this work done immediately, and we get aid back on it. So again, some people might go and say, oh my God, $5 million, why am I spending $5 million? You're not spending, it's already in our savings account. just transferring it over to get these projects done.
The
That's
best
what's
way to
important.
look at it, Gordon, is to look at this, over the past couple of years, there have been a lot of different things that we've tried to do to save money, reduce costs. That's what adds up when you do it. That money should go to the community. It goes to the community when you do a project like this. These are things that have to be done. They're either, you cannot use the facilities if we don't do this work. So why pay interest on it as a loan, a bond, when you have the money?
Exactly.
We can move on this sooner than later. It is a method by which we can get money that the community has saved to do its own work without taking the loan. And we can be aided and get a lot of that money back from the state over time.
Right.
What do we estimate that we can possibly get back?
They say it can be upwards of 60%. It has to be associated with a building. 60% is 63% could be a high mark, but so let's say it could be 50%. You do get that money back. It's not all in one check. It comes back over time, but it is found money. It comes back into the program and continues to be used. So this $5 million with Aidable becomes a long-term program enhancement because over time we keep plowing it back in. It's like you get to use the money over and over again.
Good point. And in addition, wait for the bond. Even if you approve it tomorrow, that leaking high school roof, and by the way, when we get to it, it's only 1/3 being replaced. 1/3. We can't wait 2.5 years when it's leaking like it is. When that field could be condemned tomorrow, you can't wait 2.5 years for that. So why would you wait to secure your perimeter of your properties? That's security that can't wait. So in addition to what Bob said, that money comes back to us. It's not like, okay, we got it in the account, it's spent, it's all gone. It eventually comes back. And it is the taxpayers' money. Steve?
You'll also be saving on an inflationary cost too. The sooner you do it, the less it's going to cost you to do these items.
But once the contract is, you wait 2
Right.
years. The
There we
price
go.
of the work, that's not going to be a $5 million project, that'll be a $6 million project.
Right. Thanks, Steve. That's a
On top
good
of
point.
it, interest. Why pay interest on something if you have the money?
No tax increase.
0% is good.
Absolutely.
No taxes.
Okay, and this will kind of explain what we're talking about, what Mike Riggio was mentioning before about the fund balance. We'll point it out. I just want to point out quickly on the top of the chart, we have now for you shown this 5-year plan to show you where we're going. If you look at this year, under 18-19, as I mentioned before, the 1.57 is lower increase than the prior 2 years. Right? You had 2.29, 210, or 157, a smaller increase. And again, those have been going this rough ride with us, the appropriations. In March, we thought before we got our real numbers in, before we got the 209 additional in state aid, before we knew we had 7 retirees, which is more than we even planned on. And the great thing that the board did working out with the MSTA is working out this incentive so we can predict into the future how many retirees we will have. We have 7. We know we already have 4 next year, and then shortly thereafter, we'll know who we get the 3rd year out to help us plan. So, and I'm evidently getting 7 this year, which is quite a savings. It's a great thing that the board did with the unit, the work is working on. So before all that, we started in January, you should know this, Brad, at 1.1, March went up to 1.9, and now we're down to 1.4 because we had, but look down below, and this is Mike was saying before, and Bob, we're not going broke. In January and February, my superintendent's message dealt with how does the fund balance grow, what happens. It's basically unspending, not on purpose, but prices come in less. You don't spend, someone didn't want what they ordered, it didn't cost as much as we thought. And over 3 years or so, the fund balance grew. And look at where it was last year, the end of last year, 16.7. So there you see the transfer to capital project, the $5 million we're talking about. Bob spoke about, Mike, Pete, everybody, that's the $5 million we're transferring with your permission to move your money here to pay for those things we just pointed out. So with that out, and in addition, because we have the money, setting up a capital reserve the first year at $750. Because, again, we don't have a bond, things can happen. It brings it down, with those moves, it brings it down to 0.5% in 1 year. And I said to Linda, we're going to get another letter from the state. Because the following year, and we joked with them about this, because when we started spending out 2 years ago, I got another letter, you're at risk. Even though we're above 4%, we're at risk. So the idea is we get very close to the 4%, and then we go under the 4% in 1920. But again, you're going to have more retirements. You don't know what the age is. Hopefully, you might see that, not necessarily hopefully, but the district might be decreasing in enrollment. We have 2 large bumps that should be moving out of high school in a few years. And things will start changing 3 to 4 years out. Bob and Peter.
The most important piece will be that Proposition 4 going forward. Capital project is for an immediate need, an emergency need. The cap reserve is something we've had. We haven't had one in 2 years. Establishing a capital reserve sets us forward strategically going ahead. It's very interesting to see the 750 that will drop into the capital reserve with the creation of it becomes an excellent foundation to build on as we are able to achieve continued savings going forward into our, with our salaries, and that's the purpose of working out a contract and a retirement incentive that allows us to move that way. I think it's coincidental, I don't believe in coincidences, that 750 is approximately the area that we're looking at savings when you drop out the high earners this year. That's the same number. This means we're thinking forward, we're using that money to go forward, and everything that we can plow into that for savings into the future, capital reserve is important to use because when you need to do regular projects, when you need to take care of your facilities, you do so. If you wait, you pay water contractors, you pay an interest, and you are required to do more work because you waited too long. What was a repair or a minor renovation becomes a major project. This is that Proposition 4, and why it's important is it is a investment into the future as to our facilities. The same way we invest into our students and program that you're seeing in the capital project. And as that money comes back to us in state aid, that is continuously investing into our program and into our students.
And then, as Bob just called that, here's Proposition 3. Proposition 4 was Bob describing right here. Now, the thing with that, too, is the money's there. We don't have to spend it. If you don't need it, it does not have to be spent. You don't have to spend all of it, okay? So, because, again, as one of our board members approached, wow, we can't afford to spend that $5 million. We're going to go broke between that and the budget. We can't do it. Yes, you can. We're showing you how we can do it. And that is wise. I have, and I've been hitting it too often lately, a fund that I have for my house repairs, that, for major emergencies and things that you have to borrow for. And you got to do it now. You put it off, small problems get to be bigger problems. If I don't do a driveway now, how much will that driveway be next year? And that's the same way that we're talking about. So, it's wise to have that. You don't have to spend it. We're not going on a spending spree. But keep in mind, and I'll get right to your Proposition 3, Proposition 4, we should see decreases over the years, the next 3 years. But we're finding things going wrong now in some of the buildings that we can't wait for a bond either. So we asked the public for permission to borrow and ship the $5 million. We asked the public for permission on Proposition 4 to just put this in reserve, not necessarily spend it, put it in reserve. Pete, thanks
It
for that.
allows us, Proposition 4 board allows us to take the savings Bob referred to and actually have a plan in place going forward, whether it's a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and then we can have a dedicated stream of money going into the fund, and at the same time, spend it according to a logical plan based on what the facility manager needs or what we might determine, the board determines we need. It allows us to take the community's money without increasing taxes and actually utilizing it, and we're paying it forward. Basically, we're paying it forward to the community, and it's very prudent, it's a very conservative way of managing our money. The community's money.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Bob. Okay, this is the thing that is ugly, we don't like to talk about it, but should the bond not pass, the budget, too much fun. The budget not pass, what do? You have to, so this I mentioned before. There's our tax levy this year, that's what it brings in on 1.95, it's bringing in $40,117,049. Last year, our tax levy brought in $39,354,600. What's the difference? $766,589. Now, I said, why are you showing me that? Well, this is how the formula works for a contingency budget. You see the difference, and the board would be faced with cutting $766,589 if the budget doesn't pass. It's based, you see the formula right here. Now you say, okay, it doesn't pass, we're almost, it's $750,000. What do we cut? Some of these are minor, and supplies reduced for extracurricular is minimum. Even if you cut extracurriculars, that's minimum money. Classroom supplies, not a lot of money. Equipment from the budget, not a ton of money. Now, what is money? How do you get to $766,000 and save it? Really simple, and it sounds ugly, but it's staffing and programs. That's what it comes down to. In my former district, we cut $4 million one year, and it was heinous. It was the middle school and elementary school music programs and teachers. 10 English teachers were cut. We went from 9 periods to an 8-period day. And walking around an elementary school without music, not a very pleasant thing. And then when I left, they were just starting to try to get 5th grade music back. And it's a horrible thing, but that's true. You've got to, that's a big pile of money you got to save. What program are you going to cut? Okay, let's try not to cut bodies. Let's set up minimum class sizes. What are your AP classes going to be allowed to have? Honors classes, electives. Are you going to set a minimum, as some districts I know set it at 15? And you don't let those other opportunities run for kids? Those kids who take 6, 8, 9, 10 AP classes? What do? So it's not a good thing to think about, not a good thing, but you have to be prepared, and by law you have to prepare, right, Linda? So you have to look at it in the long and short of it is, even if you cut sports, a lot of people say, cut music and sports. You're not going to get that amount of money for sports. You're going to look at coaching fees to get to that amount of money? Never. Never. What?
They're contractual.
Yeah, contractual. So that is a contingency budget. Not pleasant, but that's how it works. I finally understand it. And it's all based on tax levy. Can't use this year's tax levy, got to go back to the last one's. But our budget costs this much. Cut that part. And that's the long and short and the ugly part of it. So one more time. Maybe we should all say it together. No. Proposition 1 is the budget. $60,203,000, which is the smallest hike in 3 years, $15 per month. Proposition 2, the libraries These happen every year. Proposition 3, the capital project, you heard the board members speak to it. It went from 4.2, as Brad remembered, to 5, because we added secure perimeter fencing. And I will be saying more about that in a few minutes. Then Proposition 4 is the capital reserve, like Pete just called it, playing it forward with that money. I call it like that emergency fund in your house. When you need the money, you got it there if you need it. And the community has control over that, because the board has to say, like, we got to have a plan. Here's our plan, community. Can we spend this money on it? Tell us no. We don't want that money spent on it. That's up to the community. It's your money, the $5 million, and the capital reserve. And those are additional votes. We showed you the chart. We're not going broke. You know, you have to understand this. This is something different. Things that are needed now, we can't wait. It involves security, it involves repairing your buildings. And when I think of our high school, 1/3 of the roof leaking like it is, I can't help but think of Port Jefferson and their bond not being approved, and their buildings are crumbling as we speak. Crumbling. We can't have that happen here. So 4 propositions, 4, and they're all good ones. Needed, security, repairs, all of them. And we need people to vote. Okay, now that's the budget hearing part. We return to the regular meeting at this point, or do you want to get done with it? Just the rest of it?
Do we do a motion to adjourn the hearing?
Did you want the Tuesday prepared?
No.
I think it's up there, I'll grab it.
If not, you just give me your email, I'll send it to you. Because I put,
Okay, then I can keep going.
I put the details.
Get that before you up and down. I can keep going?
The district clerk says yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You got me, buddy? You got the other one? Let's go back to the field. That's it. Okay, this was on when you came in. You heard me speak a lot about this. So what I have to point out is, if you have driven by the field lately, and what you're confronted with, the track areas and the gravel and the weeds and the rest, and from the track, this is clean. The end zones are clean. These events aren't gone forever. They're placed in another area off the track and off the turf field. This design is what we want our one and only turf field that exists presently to become. And it can. But you can see extra sidewalks, extra concrete. And what did I just show you in that capital project slide? I showed you replacement of our turf. Right now, I can't help it when I'm watching the games. Great kids, great athletes on that turf. Reminds me of the AstroTurf I left on my patio for too long. That's what it looks like. It's about as hard as that. Then the nets will go around the field so you can use the track as the game progresses on the field. New bleachers, ADA compliant. It's moving the events out here. Okay? But this is improving and replacing what we currently have before it's condemned. Pete?
Or just going back to the netting. The netting
Yes.
is important really for practices more so because there are more practices. Right now, the teams, they have to juggle. We have an incredible track program, track and field program, and the coaches actually do a very good job managing use on the field and the track. But if we have netting around there, that's not going to become an issue. And it will help our students because a lot of times we have to juggle practice. The kids are here at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. They're not home studying. So it's kind of what everyone else is doing. So it'll help us utilize these fields better.
In one practical sense, you're absolutely right, Pete. You know, when I watch a track meet, I've got kids to be supervised here. I have kids to be supervised over here. I have kids to be be supervised out there. So having them in one area makes sense as well. Okay? So, yes. Brad.
So where the track and events are going to be relocated to,
Right here?
what is, that's the area behind the middle school now?
Yes.
So that's open grass at this time?
Space built, isn't it? Right now, the events are going to be put back there. Yeah.
Discus is there, so basically moving like the high jump.
Right.
It's gonna move, that's over in the pole vault, so it's gonna move from that particular area there over there. It's not gonna really impact that field, it's not like it's gonna take the whole field up.
Okay.
It's just moving the stuff that's over there and allow them to also maintain the use of those end zones, maintain the end zones better. And it'll be for safety purposes too.
Okay.
How
Yes.
soon will you finish the project, if it's approved? How soon, like?
How soon would that happen?
How soon the project can be completed if the body is approved?
We're hoping, I was talking to the football coach the other day, and they're arranging some of the schedule for more away games. So maybe we would hope by the fall that this could happen. But again, the first things first, let's pass this proposition and move that money over. And then we put the pedal to the metal to get that field happening by the fall, hopefully.
Does this affect at all updating bleachers for the baseball field to be within compliance, or is that completely
No,
separate?
that baseball field remain. What we are talking about as far as the field goes is give the girls varsity softball a nice field over here instead of the Oklahoma Dust Bowl that they
But the
currently play.
bleachers will stay the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to go to girls softball games, but I have to wash my face a lot when I'm done.
I know.
Looks like I have a good tan. Now, this is, check the lack of perimeter security and fencing. Let me take you through the neighborhood now on a little journey.
Poison ivy doesn't count.
This chart about
Yes, that's what keeps everything, yeah, it's the poison ivy.
Well, post and rail, when we all talk, and then when you're in front of the high school, and I've said this to Frank many times, and when you're over on the North Country Road, 1992, people never expected seeing what we are seeing now and dealing with it, unfortunately. No one asked for this, this is reality. But post and rail doesn't act it anymore. And this is along North Country Road. It's extremely vulnerable. Even our attorney came in today, went up North Country, came in the main entrance, goes, I like a guard at the gate. But he goes, what about the back? He did say that. So we said, it's coming. North Country Road. I got posts. Got posts. Look at it. This is on 25A side. And we didn't make any of this up. I saw at Southern Shed. I really saw great how people cleared the grass and the weeds and made a beautiful entryway to their gate onto the field across from the school today. I wish I had that picture. Another 25A side. Now, a lot of us are worried, and the board knows, I had a problem with a homeless guy last year who was making his home near the post office. So what would stop him from just walking onto the elementary school playground? One post, that post. Now, these are problems too on our, we're damned if, this is what I call damned if we do, damned if we don't gates. On the perimeter of the property to our roadways. Now, we tried to anticipate field day. We had our armed guard there. Parents weren't happy with the back gate being shut. I opened the back gate too and put one of our guards on it. But then we got complaints because they could not park the car on the side streets behind the field and walk through. What are you doing? I want to park in the neighborhood. I can walk right onto the field there. And we try to lock this, and you do get complaints. The board for years has always felt this is the neighborhood, this is the heart of the community neighborhood school. And they should enjoy it in the grounds, but as we've been saying, times have changed. you have to lock those gates. So again, in your sleep, Proposition 1 and 2 are the norm. 5 million capital project, let's get those fences fixed and all of the other things, the turf field.
Next go roof.
Proposition 4, okay? We need, the money's there, not costing anything for 3 and 4. We need you to vote. We need these things to happen and we can't wait. That's it. Join me on the stage for the rest of the meeting. I want to excuse our APs and thank you for coming tonight. Thank you so much. Monica, Julian, the treasurer.
Yes, you have.
Good night, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just the question. How many schools are required? You haven't seen the number of books?
Only 12.
Take the survey Okay, now come. Thank you.
And do you read that? Would anybody like to ask another question about something on the agenda right now? I mean, superintendent's message, I read.
Hello.
So glad.
Section 7A, can you explain what the memorandum of understanding is about?
7A what? I'm sorry? The MOA?
Yeah, what's the MOA?
So that's an MOA to hire back one of our science teachers who is technically retiring, but wished to stay on in a lower salary capacity. She has 30-plus years of experience, still wanted to work, but because of how we worded the enhancement, she was obligated to take that and still get the medical, et cetera. So she approached the district through her union leadership, and we discussed it, and we felt that not only is she an excellent teacher, but it still would save the district a considerable amount of money for that knowledge.
We still need a teacher for that class, that section. We still have a population that will support that, so we would have to hire someone. And she's willing to do it at an entry-level position, salary. So she comes with the experience, and we need the MOA to have the union agree to it, so she comes in at an entry-level salary.
I see, okay. And then for section 7J and K, for rescinding the security bid and then reawarding it, can you explain why those are being done? If I
Well,
recall,
Mr. Rosedale,
the
because-
amount is changing.
It's a bid? Yeah. When we signed everything up, went right to farm, we wanted to get a good company. We did. They're basically new in the biz. We had to work out details. The board was very stringent with the specs, all the demands that they wanted, particularly a lot of liability with this. Because God forbid you have an event and there's a lot of liability, you want to be prepared. And we don't want to be, Bob knows how to express it best legally, but you don't want to be the person totally sued. The district is...
Bottom line is, what they presented to us is an excellent company that meets the needs of the district. Their insurance did not meet what I felt was appropriate. We want to be an additional named insured and meet them, have an endorsement that covers that with a particular level of insurance carrier that would meet our approval. This did change the cost a bit, and to be reasonable with them, we're the ones effectively putting that out there, and that reflects a slight increase. You'll see at 48.21. I believe it was 42 previously.
4166.
4166, 42. So we wanted the proper insurance that covers our district, that our district is not the direct insurer.
We really kind of put it through hoops, not intentionally, but the board had a right to make sure the district was well protected.
Sure.
And we feel confidently that we are now.
Okay.
And it went out to rebid. To
Rebid.
Everybody, went out to everyone.
So it was fully rebid
Correct.
contract.
Right.
Okay.
Closest one we're at is at $60 an hour, and they would have had to advertise regardless.
I see. Okay.
I don't know if any of you've met any of the guards, but they are uber professional. They are there all the time. The foreman, who's now under a little canopy, is, working his tail off, getting everybody's license. I walk this campus a lot, and I always like to stand and watch and make sure that those things are going on, and they are going on to a T. So we're only looking to improve and secure on campus.
Thanks.
Anything else? Agenda, you can ask questions at the end related to any topic, but this is agenda time only. Okay, thank you. We will now go on to personnel retirements. Carrie Anderson.
Sure. Retirement Geraldine Fallon. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation for retirement purposes of Geraldine Fallon, an English teacher, effective June 23rd, 2018.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Beth. I would just like to add a comment that Jerry's been working in the high school teaching 9th grade English for a very long time. Very tough, very professional, a wonderful teacher. My children have had her. I worked alongside her as the librarian, and she would come up often with her students, and they worked really hard. So I personally am going to miss her for the district and for our children, and I wish her the best.
I would join in those comments. I think there are many students who feared going into Jerry's class, and after going through her class, often getting into very good schools because of her assistance and work with them, they come out and are just so happy to have been in her class. That's a true teacher. That's someone who has a calling. They really show the children the path. And this is going to be a very difficult separation, both for her and us. I wish her the best, but it is a loss for the district.
Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Ed, retirement?
Retirement amendment, Patricia Corley. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby amends Patricia Corley's retirement date to be effective June 30th, 2018.
Thank you, Mike. That was just a minor correction on her retirement date, changing the effective date. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mike, instructional?
Sure. Substitute teacher, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointments: Gabriella Conciacho, Katrina Connolly, and Stephen Picciano.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any comments? We have some Mount Sinai students coming back to sub for us, so that's always a great thing. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Bob, for typist.
For typist, Mary Power, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointment: Mary Power, May 9th, 2018, clerk typist at the board.
Second. Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Coaches, Lynn?
Fall, winter, spring coaches, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent. The Board of Education hereby approves the following appointments. And it goes on and on and on.
That's listed. Okay, can I have a second? Thanks, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Pete, we're back to Committee on Special Ed.
Action items. Educational Committee on Special Education resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent Board of Education has no objections to the following special education recommendations and approves the authorization for the funds to implement the special education programs and services consistent with such as listed.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Carried. MOA.
Sure. Memorandum of Agreement. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the Memorandum of Agreement with the Mount Sinai Teachers Association dated May 2nd, 2018.
I second that.
Thank you, Pete. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Ed, CSEA.
CSEA holidays. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following CSEA holidays for the 2018-19 school year as listed.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Mike, driver ed.
In-car driver education resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby awards the bid for in-car driver education to Turning Point Driving School Incorporated, the lowest responsible bidder at a first-year price of $265 for the 2018-19 school year.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. As we've mentioned before, both this and adult education pay for themselves, so this is no cost to our district. It's a service they provide. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Obsolete equipment, Bob?
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby declares the following items as obsolete and further authorizes disposal as listed.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Lynn, donated equipment?
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the following donated items from the New York State courts.
I second.
Thank you, Pete.
As listed below.
It's quite a nice donation. I think Mr. Jockers is pretty excited about it, so thank you to the New York State courts. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Tans, Pete? Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, Pete, sorry.
Tax anticipation
Tax
notes, AKA TAN, as one reference. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following motion
Second.
Thanks, Mike.
as listed.
Okay. This, as you know, is the money we need to borrow to pay our bills before we get the tax levy money. So it's a little crazy, but we have to do it. So, any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Carried? Inspection?
Sure. Inspectors of election, assistant clerks. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby appoints the following persons to act as inspectors of election/assistant clerks for the budget vote/board election to be held on Tuesday, May 15, 2018, at the rate of $13 per hour, as listed.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? Thank you to these folks who come out from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Ed, cleaning?
Cleaning services. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby extends the contract with NICED for cleaning services for the 2018-19 school year at the rate of $635,736.
Good. Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mike, bid awards?
Sure, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following bid awards to the lowest responsible bidders for the 2018-19 school year as listed.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Bob, rescind bid award?
Rescind bid award. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby rescinds the March 21st, 2018 motion to award the bid for armed security guards for protection, Pro Protection Security.
Second. Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? We explained this earlier, so I think everybody knows why we are rescinded. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Lynn, bid awards?
Bid award, Armed Guards. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby awards the bid for armed security guards to Pro Protection Security, the lowest responsible bidder, in the amount of $48.21 an hour per guard for the 2017-18 and 2018-19 school years. Said services shall commence May 9, 2018.
Second half.
Thank you, Mike. So we are locked into this amount for next year, completely through June of 19 as well, so that's a great thing. Any other comments?
On a side note, I was looking at the obsolete equipment and it gave me a thought. I don't know, Gordon, as far as I know, we're moving to Columbia next year in reading, and I know we have, I'm sure there's lots of journeys, texts, and things that are not going to be in the schools. I know there's services out there to buy back. There are companies that buy back money, so we need to look into.
Yeah,
To buy back those textbooks.
Lloyd's often has another
Huh?
place.
No.
See if they want to buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
We
That's
just need,
a great idea.
sorry, we have a motion on the floor, we just need to vote. Any armed guard comments? That's okay. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, let's go with this.
I apologize.
That's all
That's a
right.
good idea, Kathy.
I like to say it when I have the idea. So, yeah, we can definitely check that. Okay, we have questions from the community. You didn't get a chance to answer?
I just wanted to again thank you for the stop the bleed items that you're putting. If you get any extra ones to strategically place, good spot are your AED machines, because you could fit your tourniquet and your stop the bleed right in your AED
That's a
machine.
great idea.
Because most of the time that's only really used for shotgun type blasts.
Right.
So you're grabbing your AED most likely because you're going to probably need it. So you have your go bag right out of your nurse's office. You take your AED and it has the kit right in the side of the AED container. And you can also place one right at your security booths, like in the school, or not security booth here, but where the reader booth is. And it's 3 simple places that any staff member can grab and bring right to the location if needed. It's just 3 easy spots.
Thank you.
So it's just a suggestion, but it works out pretty nicely.
And as Mr. Brazel mentioned earlier, staff development is going to happen at the superintendent's conference days.
That's great.
Late August, early September. So stop the bleed and active shooter training are part of that plan. So that'll be good to remember for us.
And I had one other question.
Okay, sure.
The night of the National Honor Society, there were 3 away varsity games. And a lot of our athletes they were at the away games. Boys track was at away Center Moriches. I don't know how long the boys track meet is, but the girls
Lacrosse.
varsity lacrosse was in Sayville, boys varsity baseball was in Sayville. And many of the students that were at those games also needed to be here at Honor Society. Baseball is at least 2 hours, 4:30 game in Sayville. I know some students couldn't even come because they were torn between playing the game. And at that game, Sayville, a boy broke his leg and snapped the tib fib right in half, waiting for the ambulance. And if your pitchers aren't pitching like a no-hitter, you could be switching pitchers. It could be a very long game. So, but my point, I wanted to find out how that gets set up. Is it like a Section 11 thing?
It is
Yeah.
Section 11.
So they just say it, that
But-
these are the days the games are on?
What we did and what we can attempt to do should that happen again, and Mr. Long brought that to our attention pretty early because his 2 sons are on the track team.
And I have
Honor
baseball.
Society, that we did get some of the coaches to move the starting times up. And maybe we can, when we find that happens, match against the calendar, we can work on that, but we can't control Section.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if that was Section 11. I just wanted to see if we could try to prevent it for next year. Because it was like you feel torn.
That's
Another
the
suggestion is that at the high school, we tend to start things at 7, and we've seemingly done that across the board. That particularly in the spring sports, when this is all happening, 7:30 for what was an hour program gives you that extra half hour to possibly commute and make time. Good suggestion.
It wouldn't have been this year, though.
No.
But just to try to get home, shower, whatever, but some of them just came cleaned up with a suit on, and that was fine too.
Yeah.
But just to see if next year we need to
Yeah,
prevent
I think
that.
a later start might work. Same thing happened with my son when he was still in school, and I just took him from, I think we were at
That's what we
John
did.
Glenn, you
Yeah.
know, flying, and, you know, made
Yeah.
it in time with a little,
Put this on in the car, and, yeah, so,
Right.
okay. And because they are older, maybe we could start it later.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a
For
quick,
sure,
kind of a
it's
quick.
a short
set.
program, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't, you know, end any later than a concert or something like that.
Okay, thank
Great
you.
idea. Thank you.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Fred.
2 questions.
Go.
Are there any updates to looking into the BOCES program and some of the things that some parents were looking at for aeronautics, et cetera?
Yes.
We had passed that back around November or December to add BOCES into our curriculum for high schoolers
Okay.
who were interested, and passed through a series of application processes, one for us, our high school, and then one for the BOCES itself. They have an application process as well.
Okay.
So,
Once they're subjected to Mount Sinai's process, they have to be subjected to BOCES. They also have to attend a few events at BOCES to indicate that they're really serious. So initially, when we threw it out there, when the board approved it, we had, including the special ed, which have been going, but we had 28 applicants. When it came down to reality and having to attend, we went down to roughly 21. So we did send over 21. There are 3 aviation, whose averages go between 90 and 95. I'm sure they'll be accepted. We have a few who have to meet the needs. There are some attendance and some grade issues, but we sent them over because at times that particular occupation training can turn a kid on and make them want to succeed. So, you know, we did it, and I appreciate that the board okayed that, certainly. So,
Much general.
it was 21, it was like 9, or smaller than that.
it was,
So the majority of that is special ed population that has been going for years anyway.
Okay.
So that,
You know, Brad, the thing I witnessed and why my former district, they implemented 6 CTE programs there at the high school, was because a lot of kids didn't like to leave their school for half or more of their day. And, you know, so that's the drive over. And so they think about that. Some drop out because of that. So, but it's just starting. I'm hoping it starts up and we're successful with that opportunity.
Okay. My other question was related to Port Jeff, and with their bond vote failing and proposition of them losing a lot of funding from changes in the power plant, have you guys heard anything about possibility of structural changes in their district, like closing their high school and maybe splitting up their kids to Mount Sinai, et cetera?
Now, that superintendent I worked with for 10 years, so we converse all the time, and I'll see him again next week. That has not come up at all. They're very concerned, as is Northport right now. They're running meetings, parent meetings in Northport too, facing the same thing what would happen, but I don't think Port Jeff, there's a long history here, as you know about Port Jeff, Mount Sinai. So that'll be delicate, I think, as I'm being right now, delicate.
Right.
I think some of those things
Diplomatic.
were really rumors that, you know, people said, hey, what if we did this? But I don't think anybody's approached anybody at
yeah,
this point.
this is a live feed, and that's a rumor, and that we don't want to even go anywhere near that. We're talking about the Mount Sinai budget for the Mount Sinai kids.
Yeah, it just to me, it just relates to Mount Sinai in that if something happens to Port Jeff, and I think there was some discussion a number of months ago about states can split things up under emergency situations, and if Port Jeff had to send kids to Mount Sinai, that would obviously impact our budget, our district, our programs, et cetera.
We're kind of really far off from that because they have litigation they're involved in right now, and you know, that has to be settled first before they even know what they're going to do themselves there.
Okay.
So I would think we're really far. Anyone that's speculating is just speculation.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Nothing we presented in the budget in the third or fourth proposition, it's all about what Mount Sinai needs and the Mount Sinai community. It has nothing to do with any rumor or speculation. We have no plans presently or in the future that would address any of that. That's Fort Jefferson's burden. I wish them well in that, but this is what we have to do, and that's what we're doing.
So, four of you here, and all of you out there, we are urging you to tell everybody you know to vote. We are also asking you to explain what Mr. Rosdale has explained and everybody has added to with the four propositions. The first two are the same as every year. Budget, we presented under the tax cap, and the library services, that is sort of a given. The third one, if I could sort of simplify it, we're asking your permission to take money that we have in our savings account, and we just want to move it into our checking account so we can make these emergency repairs on our roof, our turf, and our track. And fence, thank you. I think I've said it before, I walk this campus all the time, and we have 3 beautiful buildings, but things are starting to crumble here and there as age sets in. So those need to be done ASAP. The other fund is going to be asking your permission to take from another savings account and earmark it for future expenditures on capital projects, construction, things like that. As I said, the bones are good, but things are starting to shift a little, so we may need down the road to make other repairs. So again, it's money that is already in this district's savings accounts. We're just looking to transfer it, one for now and one for the future. Amen. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much for coming out tonight, and we'll see you at the voting booth.